Good morning, everybody. I would like to call the Stockbridge Bowl Stewardship Commission meeting on August 19th, 2022 to order. Welcome, everybody. If you can give me a minute, I need to go out here and join, so I can do a share screen. But the first thing on our agenda is to continue to review the draft of the Lakeland Watershed Management Plan. Updates, doesn't it figure? Zoom is installing updates. Please. Anyway, so I've given each of you in the room a copy. I managed to get a document version, a .doc version, to make it a little quicker and easier to edit, which can always be converted to PDFs. But I had to convert it to PDF to print it this morning. It's kind of interesting. Okay, we are up. Now, let's see if I can do a share screen to bring this document up, and I think that's going to be easier to work from anyway, but you all have a copy to make notes on. And
Do we have included in all of this? I haven't looked to see the sedimentation report that the BNRC did, or not BNRC, the other people, the names I can never keep straight. The Berkshire Regional Planning.
okay, it's referenced in here. Yeah. In fact, hopefully all historic documents are referenced. I did add two. They didn't have the 2021 Tom Coote, although it had been sent, but it wasn't incorporated in here. And then there was one that Solitude did, that Pat Kennelly sent to me. So both of those have been sent to GZA. I put references in here about them.
What was the date of the of the Solitude?
Give me a second, Sally. Let me just get this online.
Well,
I'm gonna share.
Roxanne, Sally, did you, the continuation of the water chestnut hand pulling? That's going on?
Right.
Yeah, I saw them there down the outlet.
Oh, good.
Yeah, what's the status in that, do you know, or?
I don't know. I don't.
They said, I spoke to them, they said they got about 500 plants or something.
Yeah.
Down.
We haven't heard anything.
Yeah. So you don't know how long it'll continue, like what the.
Well, I think it'll continue as long as A, they're getting paid, and B.
Right, well, that's what I meant. I didn't know if you had if you had a certain time thing.
Yeah, no, they,
Yeah.
as long as.
So if we just start flipping through here, hopefully everybody can see that. I can.
So this though is not, I noticed a change. This is not the one that we reviewed.
This is not the one you sent. The one I sent was PDF. After that, I got the doc, and so I transferred everything into the doc format. So it'd be quicker and easier for me to keep making changes.
Okay.
But do we know which ones are the changes that you
No, there's-
input?
Yes, they
Because I
should be
couldn't find
highlighted
that.
in here. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
we don't have a color printer in town hall. So, and they had put this gray highlighting behind all this text, which I don't understand why. But I didn't take it all out, but you now have a printout. And we'll go through, so there's nothing in page 2 that changed. I don't think there was anything in page 3 that changed. Page 4 is the very first thing that I had plugged in. which was basically just the date that we voted on the SBSC at town meeting.
So just going back to two though, what is the schedule for this comment to complete after SBSC review? A summary of specific management efforts or plans by stakeholders. We'll go here.
Don't know where you're looking.
Yeah, you got to give us a page.
I said page 2, I'm sorry.
I thought you,
So are you looking at?
The italic, second paragraph italic. A summary of specific management efforts or plans by stakeholders will go here.
Right. And that I need to talk to them about. I'm not clear on what they want.
I mean, I think what they're looking for is what do we plan to do?
I know. And what I'm a little concerned about in going through this is just how it's organized to me is very confusing. It's like overly complex.
Thank you.
So, I mean, in other places, those specific management efforts are talked about in the document. So what
would
is the
that be like
difference?
So-and-so is hand pulling and
Basically
so-and-so
dredging.
is.
Has specific
Or
management
cutting.
efforts or plans. However, farther down in the document, all those things are listed, i.e. as goals and ongoing, et cetera. And you'll see as we go through this. So it's just a matter of like, what are they really looking for here? And how does this differ from where we reference projects and management efforts elsewhere? But that's easy enough to copy and paste and put something in there.
Yeah, I think a summary. I mean, basically, what are
It's just a
the,
summary, but most of this, you know, it's not in great detail.
I was just, hold on.
So the town has a contract with Fleetwood, which is Dave
Is it now?
Cameron and Mark Stinson. Dave Cameron was at DP for many years, and Mark Stinson was the Stockbridge Circuit, well, the Western Mass Circuit rider for DEP. And I wonder if it wouldn't be not a bad idea to get them to give this a run through.
Okay.
Go ahead, Patrick.
No, we've had that discussion, at least Michael and I have. And the plan was, because, I mean, they're quite expensive, that once we get a version relatively close to finish, then we would ask experts to review it with us, probably, you know, Portman and Mark and David, and just spend the money once rather than spend the money over and over again.
We're spending the money with GZA, and the thing is that this is just the first steps of going through this and trying to compile everything.
Yeah.
They have their own experts. Chris Main is a certified lake manager. Ben Burpee is a limnologist. Cortman is a limnologist. They're all part of the GZA team. So this is kind of like the first steps of like, let's just try to compile everything, get it into them. They will at some point, obviously review all of this, and we can always invite them to come into meetings to discuss specific points.
And I think Roxanne's right. And I think that specifically, if we're going to bring them in, we should have a purpose to bring them in. For example, you know, David and Mark's expertise is on permitting.
Right.
And
that
we
was
should
what I was
ask them, how does this document reflect our best chance of getting dredging and or if we want to go to 10 acres for harvesting or whatever, getting harvesting permitted. So I think that would be the specific ask I would make of them.
That's what I was thinking, if they could run through it with a DEPI.
Yeah, and an
say, no,
ATSBI.
this will never fly, or this is great, or you should modify this.
Or word this differently.
Yeah.
Great minds
Yeah.
think alike.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see, page 4, we had to plug in a date. And then we had to correct on page 5. Anita, you have your hand up. Do you have a question?
Which,
I was just curious if this is the same document that we went through the last time, because there's no new document that's posted,
This is the modified
or is
version.
this a different
This-
version?
This is a working draft. So this is now includes some updates based on our last meeting.
Thank you.
So let's see, on page 5, we had to update the information about the makeup of the SBSC. I left Tri-Town Health Department down under the non-voting members. I just put TBD, to be determined. 'Cause obviously, there may be a change, but there's no significant impact in terms of voting members. You know, I have corrected that. We have Jim Willis now representing Board of Health, and we have John, I put it in as Dr. John She, for Water and Sewer Commission.
Someone did.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
And then let me see,
Jim Willis is Tri-Town Health, so would he not be representing Tri-Town Health as well as the Board of Health?
he might be, but that's
Hi, Jim.
kind of a,
We're talking about you.
I don't know, is Jim here?
Yeah.
Yeah, there he is. So at any rate, yes, potentially, but it is up to the select board that they could make a change if they wanted to. I don't think it's of
I'm just curious.
gravitas at this point. The next section, the SBSC reached out to other stakeholders and they already had Highway Department, Parks and Rec, Camp Mackinac and Tanglewood. I added Stockbridge residents in general and homeowner associations including, so I broke out the various homeowner associations under like a,
What
number
is the
5.
Stockbridge Boat Club?
It's Mackinac Boat Club, I believe. Or is there a Stockbridge Boat Club in addition?
What have I got in here? Stockbridge Boat Club. It's Mackinac, right?
Yes.
Well, it's 8 is already Mackinac, so you can just delete 7.
Yep.
Unless there's a new one we don't know about.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's,
Okay, so that's fixed. And then Kripalu, which they didn't have, and Mackinac Boat Club. Alrighty. And
Can you, one other one, because he has been so active, I would suggest you add the Berkshire County League of Sportsmen. Dan Maragula is their lake and ponds expert and has, it just, in conjunction with the Sportsman's Club, they've been very interested in the bowl and concerned about the fisheries there because they're so good.
how does everybody feel about that?
Yeah, let's just do it. Just
Okay,
do it.
it's there, Berkshire County League of Sportsmen, correct? Got it, number 8. Okay, data sources, and here's where I plugged in, the Solitude was 2018, to answer your question, Sally. Submerged aquatic vegetation assessment and invasive species management evaluation. And 18 was added, Otter Environmental, and that's just Tom Coot going out in 2021. Presumably, has he gone out yet, Sally, for conservation?
yes, yeah.
Okay, so obviously that will be added when that comes in. All right, then I don't think we have a whole heck of a lot for number of pages here. Scroll through, scroll through. Okay, and we get to page 23.
Page 9?
23.
23.
So there's nothing in between that was
So
changed.
Page 9 is what I'm on.
Yeah, but nothing's changed there.
Oh, you want to go all the way to page 23?
Yeah, we're going over, because we've already gone through these 40 pages. Now I'm just.
Oh, okay, good.
Here's what I've adjusted based on the last conversations. So 23. And then it says, out of the potential management targets outlined, the SBSC are currently prioritizing the following water quality goals. And we had a conversation about this, that everything that they had listed under water quality goals wasn't necessarily a water quality goal.
Yep.
So we left in, I added prevent cyanobacterial harmful algal blooms, CHABs. I did ask Charlie Kenny, John, if, he had some blurb he wanted to put about this. And he said, no, he didn't want to step on anybody's toes and that you were representing. So, and I said, well, I know that they're working on the sewer and water pieces. But so anyway, he deferred it back to you. If you want to have some kind of a statement about that, but I think a generic.
I think this is adequate. I mean, yeah.
So the second bullet,
Anoxia depth,
yeah, like, why is that the only, we can minimize, and P is phosphorus, obviously, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a number of strategies we could use to limit phosphorus, including, encouraging people to use like less fertilizer. I think that we should generalize. If we're going to generalize, I think, it should be reducing phosphorus any way we can is maybe better than just focusing on anoxia depth.
but this is water quality goals. So this is just a generic goal. If you want to put reducing phosphorus, but most of our phosphorus loading is internal loading. It's not external loading. Most of it, the vast majority of it is internal loading.
Yeah, but there's still ways we can try to reduce.
Oh,
goes
absolutely.
in.
And that's addressed in other,
Right, I just thought maybe this was a little too specific. We could give ourselves the flexibility to reduce phosphorus any way we can.
I would also suggest that you use the word phosphorus, because somebody who isn't really
A scientist.
conversant in this may not,
Change the P to phosphorus,
can do that.
know what that means.
total phosphorus, TP.
Yeah, TP is total. So, I mean, and this is putting goals. So this is TP not to exceed 25,
Yeah.
per liter. So they're giving the specifics in a lot of this, obviously is according to,
That's pretty
Government
specific.
at public beaches, they're giving the E. coli to not exceed. So this is, in some ways is just, we want to prevent cyanobacterial algal blooms. Whether it belongs in this spot or not, I'm not sure. I mean, that's open for discussion. But then everything else is, they're basically,
I mean,
referencing CMRs.
and look at, these guys are experts at writing these, and these have to follow a plan for the regulators. But I mean, it seems like our water quality goals, should revolve around, we're going to encourage habitat, we're going to encourage the fisheries, we're going to try to minimize the pollutants associated with hurting habitat fisheries. And, I just feel like it could be a little bit more stated in plain English,
Well,
but I don't know.
what you're talking about is how you get there. Those are actions. Those are possible actions that you take to achieve your goals. Here, I think, because they're stating it as water quality goals, these bullet points are all water quality goals. But if you go down, I added additional identified goals related to environmental health and recreational safety include, and this is where I think maybe we put some other things. But sediment removal, dredging at the outlet, and these they wanted in order. Okay, in priority order. So I put sediment removal at the outlet channel west of the island, the inlet and the town and Beechwood beaches to facilitate invasive aquatic plant control and prevent disruption of flow and navigation. And they needed us to say what stakeholders were involved. So I put a joint SBA and Town of Stockbridge initiative. Number 2, control of nuisance plant density and outlet channel via harvesting by the town. Number 3, reduction of M. spicatum or spicatum or potato via regular limited discretionary mechanical harvesting conducted by the town. Number 4, continued monitoring and control of trapezoidales, the water chestnuts via hand pulling, a joint venture by the SBA and the town. Continued efforts to prevent invasive species such as zebra mussels from entering the lake and watershed area.
Should be a comma after zebra mussels.
Yep.
But also,
Good catch.
again, I would say that you should use the commonly used term for these things. Eurasian milfoil,
Okay.
water chestnut, just because if the public wants to read this, we want to make sure that they understand what we're talking about.
Okay.
And I think that if there, somewhere in our goals, remember, one of the 2 regulators, NHESB, somewhere in our goal should be a protection of Marstonia lustrica and protection of the bridle shiner.
Yep. And I was thinking of that too, but I'm not sure where we plug
Put it
it.
right in here. What's our first goal is to protect the endangered species because we're trying to get their
Yes,
approval.
exactly. Protect.
Yeah, I think, I agree with Patrick. I think number 9 should be protection of endangered and threatened species.
If it's in order, I would suggest you put it number 1, not number.
It shouldn't be the last one, I don't think.
Yeah,
Not for them.
Whatever, it should be there.
I think we have an audience of 2 for this.
We actually have an audience of 1,
And
unfortunately.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
What's his name?
that?
Jesse Luddick, who's wonderful, but he really follows Miss
Put it
Deanne.
number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish it was an audience of 2.
so where should we number it, do we think?
I think you should put it like, I agree. I think it should be 1, 2, 3 on the top where they read
Where's
it,
the top?
that we give them that courtesy of respecting what they do.
And I would even spin sediment removal as, you know, one of the things that Tom Kudas pointed out is that Marstonia lustrica likes sandy bottoms much more than they like silty bottoms or, you know, mushy, squishy bottoms. I think that making the point that sediment removal to improve Marstonia lustrica habitat, anytime we can mention it, I think we should mention it because I think we get a better chance of getting dredging approved the more this thing reflects that some of the reasons we're doing this is not only to improve recreation, but to improve habitat.
No,
I'll fix the numbering later. So I've just put protection of native and endangered species at the top.
I would put and threaten, endangered and threatened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a list of threatened species in the bowl at the moment, as far as I know, and we probably should.
Yeah, there's I'll send you one. I got one the other day.
Okay.
Okay. And then sediment removal, dredging, and then how did you want to change this, Patrick?
Let's see. I think that sediment removal of the outlet channel, West Sea Island inlet, sediment, I think that that's too specific. Sediment removal to improve endangered species habitat and as well as recreational use of the bowl. I mean, it does more than that. It also cools the water down, as you pointed out. It is so that makes the water better for fisheries. I mean, I think that I would take out the specific part and talk about the benefits of sediment removal. Improves fisheries, keeps the water cold, improves endangered species habitat, and it's better for recreation.
Keeping the water cold also and improving flow would also go a long way toward preventing an algae bloom.
Yeah, that's right. That too.
you know, well, you know, in all the meetings, they talk about the outlet being that they don't really find snails so much.
We're not just dredging the outlet, I'm talking.
What?
We're not just dredging the outlet.
No, but you're dredging around the island, you're dredging the beach, you're dredging the culverts, I understand.
Right. So it all improves habitat.
Right, but they talk about that, one of the issues they have with the outlet, so what you're bringing in is that it's a potential habitat. So,
I'm also talking about bridal shiner too. You know, I mean, all habitat likes more natural bottoms than this silty stuff we ended up with.
yeah, so let me just finish this. No problem. So one of the ironies is that what you're saying is so true in terms of by taking the potential habitat is even greater.
That's right.
They use the word potential a lot in their terms of, so I don't know whether to use that word because they use it, but
Yeah.
It's always a good idea.
what?
Turn on
It's
them.
always a good idea to echo what they say.
Yeah, exactly. So the word potential to them seems to be a big one and giving us a problem actually for the outlet. But I think what the irony is that what we're doing is making the potential better.
How about we come out and say that?
What?
How about we come out and say that?
Yeah.
They may not have thought of it. They got 3,000
I'm
likes.
sure who knows, right?
Oh, I've just changed it. Sediment removal, dredging, in
Right.
parentheses, to improve endangered species habitat and potential habitat.
Right, thank you.
Facilitate invasive aquatic plant control and prevent disruption of flow and navigation. Want to put something in about the temperature?
Yeah, temperature,
My only question on flow is, with the, you know, the pipes going across, it's sort of a natural, water flows on the top. It doesn't, if you dig down, it doesn't really improve flow because the water flows over the top. That's Michael Canalsa's point. And it's kind of like sort of I mean, I'm not sure dredging improves flow is my point. I mean,
Well, we can take that out.
yeah. don't know.
I think you're looking at current, but what if it becomes bog-like? In other words,
Okay.
if you look,
You're right.
why are you dredging? You're dredging really not for today. You're dredging for
Right.
potential future.
No, I think that's a good point.
know?
Let's go with.
Frankly, if GCA experts thinks that shouldn't be there, then it'll come out.
I know.
You know.
Today, Michael is right, but 20, 30 years from now, you may not be right anymore.
and
He'll
also,
be retired.
Want to
And-
say
and we'll all
Sally
be
about
dead.
I would like it to be endangered and threatened wherever it says that. Because we
worried
want
maybe
to,
something.
we want to make sure that we're,
Covering both bases.
yeah, because if a species is currently threatened, it could easily become endangered.
Okay, I just added that.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we want to say about the temperature?
So if the temperature is better.
I just think-
That also is against, will help improve the chances of not having an algae bloom.
Okay,
It
how
is,
do we word this?
Maybe they need to word it. Just put, that's what you're paying them for, to word it correctly.
Right.
Right. In other words, you may want to just put, and ask them if maybe they feel just water flow, improved water flow is a given with temperature or whatever, that if we put something that,
Well, yeah, it would definitely have an effect on the temperature.
yeah.
yeah, and also the amount
I
of
mean-
oxygen in the water.
Right. I just think water flow in general is such a healthy thing for a lake. So I think that is the key. The rest, we can, I don't know.
Lakes don't necessarily have water flow, though.
What? I apologize.
That, lakes do not necessarily have water flow.
Yeah, but ours
Why
does,
we,
doesn't it?
yes, it
Yeah.
does. Which is why years ago, we considered the outlet to be riverine. Because it has flow.
Right.
I think that,
Okay, I stuck in here improvement in temperature control and putting it in red to highlight it for them. They can determine how they think this whole part should be worded. And then can we agree that the number one is protection of native endangered and threatened species? Can we say that all stakeholders are agreeing on that? Can we take a vote?
Yes.
I agree.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Jim?
yeah, he decided.
Okay. So I'll take-
Yes.
Okay, taking out the question mark then. All righty. So let me see. I'm going to have to renumber this, but I'm not going to waste time now. Control of nuisance plant density and outlet channel via harvesting. We got that.
Control of nuisance plant density, why are we just saying in the outlet? There's terrible problems with it in various parts around the lake. It's just, I think we just say after density, period. And I also don't think we should say only by harvesting. I think we should increase the budget for hand pulling.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's combine 22 and 23. Because 23 talks specifically about Eurasian water milfoil.
Yeah.
So instead of that, also, I think it should be invasive aquatic plants.
where's, when you say
It may
22
not
and
always-
She's
23?
talking about the bullets at the bottom of page 23.
Oh,
Okay.
I've got 22 and 23. I don't know. Your numbering would be like 3 and 4, somewhere in that vicinity.
yeah, no, I didn't know if you meant numbers
Numbering.
or pages.
No, I'm on page, we're still on the same page, page 24.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So on page 24, we're looking at what?
Looking at control of nuisance plant density and outlet channel via harvesting by the town, and then
Number 2 on.
followed by reduction of, we'll put in Eurasian water milfoil via regular, limited, discretionary mechanical harvesting conducted by the town.
I think 2 should also, I agree, 2 should have hand pulling as well.
Yeah,
Well,
so,
I don't think we should be specific on how we're going to do it here necessarily. I mean, unless you want to. But if we're going to talk about hand pulling and harvesting, it applies to nuisance plants as well as invasive plants. And I think that's really all we have to do is say, control nuisance and invasive plants, control nuisance plant density and all invasives via hand pulling and harvesting. You know?
Yeah.
Now, I'll leave it up to others. Well, that's fine.
reduction, well, what I've just changed that to then is reduction of invasive species such as Eurasian water milfoil via regular, limited, discretionary mechanical harvesting
And hand pulling.
and hand pulling.
We need to get a clarification on that from DEP, the hand pulling.
Well, we could put it in there. I mean,
Right. No, I mean, all this has to be vetted. Okay,
I'm the representative of the Conservation Commission. I got to say that.
so we've got the monitoring of the water chestnuts, and we've got continued efforts to prevent invasive species such as zebra mussels. That's a town initiative. I added that. Reduction of any residual septic tank nutrient loading via possible future sewer expansion. That's, I put in town and neighborhood associations just because there's the possibility that neighborhood associations
Right.
could get the ball rolling, and then eventually the town does take that sewer extension over. So. And then Bullard Woods was in here, old growth tree protection, and I said to protect carbon storage and invasive plant removal. And that's an SBA initiative
And
here? No, Pat's not
I
here.
mean, I of course support that. It seems like a little bit outside the water, so to speak. But
Yeah, I wonder if they should go in here?
yeah, I'm just wondering if,
Right.
I think that we could say in general, we want to promote a good, in the, what is it called, the 50 feet? I'm sorry, I have enough.
Buffer zone.
Yeah, I think we should in general talk about the buffer zone and the areas of the watershed around the buffer zone and how we want to encourage, native species. I don't know. It just seems like it's really specific that
Okay.
we want to encourage trees everywhere around the bowl.
Well, this is a Sally. I know
Yeah,
this.
this is a really important issue that we need to somehow make sure that the public is aware of. The 35-foot buffer zone that was required by the LPOD is something that the Conservation Commission supports, but really even more than that. I mean, anybody who has a lawn down to the lake should not have a lawn down to the lake. They're permitted to have the 35-foot or 10% or whatever it is, depending on the lot, but in order to access the lake. But the buffer zone around the lake is critical to the health of the lake. It keeps it, and if you want to get down to why should I care about that? If you have a nice woody buffer zone around the lake, you won't have geese on your lawn because they won't go past the woody
Right.
plants. But it also prevents other things from coming down the bank into the, it prevents runoff. It could potentially,
But Sally, let me ask you a question. How do we, at this point in the present where you've got 80% of the people who build homes have the issue that you're talking about probably?
no, the people who build homes are required to plant their banks.
Oh, the new ones.
Yes.
But I'm saying the
Many of the
people
old ones were
currently.
too, Michael.
What?
Many of the old ones were too, and they ignored it.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
You mean,
Concom's been there for 50 years, and this is not a new requirement.
I'm just trying to understand it, Patrick. I'm just trying to understand what do you,
People should become, if people want to be good citizens of the lake, they will have a 35-foot buffer zone in front of their house if that's practical.
a buffer, yeah, but like you say, for a layman, when you say a buffer, what does buffer
It's
mean?
woody and
What do you like, trees, Woody?
it could be trees, it could also be shrubs.
Uh-huh,
You do not have to eliminate your view shed necessarily.
Right.
But if you have good, healthy shrubs.
right,
Trees are better because they help to cool.
right.
They provide,
Stabilize the bank.
they stabilize the bank. They allow for our eagles to fly around and find someplace to be. There are a lot of reasons why the trees are really important. But having a 35-foot buffer of a good dense, woody, shrubby, planting, native, obviously, is critical for the health of the lake. And it also prevents erosion, it prevents siltation, it prevents a lot of
So how do we word that into,
And how do we word it so that it doesn't disqualify 90% of the people who have homes?
Or it seemed like we're scolding them.
Yeah, we're,
that's what I'm saying.
Goals.
Yeah.
This is stated as a goal, not a prohibition.
Yeah.
So I've got, so.
Well, it is in
Protecting
the LPOD, so it is a prohibition
Okay,
theoretically.
it's already in existence. We're not creating it.
No.
Okay, protect and encourage preservation of a native buffer zone around the lake. Is that sufficient?
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with Pat in many ways of keeping it semi-specific.
Right.
I mean, there should be some things that we know, but I mean, I think generally it gives us, and then if they want us to be more specific, then that consulting group that you're talking about can chime in maybe. And it's important that you do pass. it.
Interesting
I think,
enough.
having run a business, I think it's important to go to people that are in the know and make those decisions to go, yeah, or you know what?
Interestingly enough, Mark Stinson, when he was our DEP circuit rider, said to me, we never worry about the buffer zone in Stockbridge.
And what does that
No,
mean?
it's hats
It means
off
that
to our
we are so crazy on that
Oh,
subject
see.
that, you know, we're vigilant perhaps is
So
better.
back to Bullard Woods, though, I would suggest that we,
I'm gonna do what I did with the next one, and I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna ask them where on earth did this go? Okay?
right, but I think that we should, outside the buffer zone, we should encourage natural forestation
Yes.
and other methods, and it just needs to be less general. I mean, it's a,
Right.
we've got Gold Meadows, we've got many forested areas around the lake, you know, and in the watershed.
I mean, the LPOD is 150 feet from the bank. Conservation has 200 feet to think about. So these are all places that we consider to be critical to maintaining the health of the lake. This buffer zone is really, really important, and it's something that I'm not sure people understand. You know, they see the lake and they want to get their boats in, and that's pretty much all they think about. But in order for them to have a healthy lake to put their boats in, they need to be good stewards.
Right. And this is all part and parcel of actions to be taken with educating the public.
Right.
You know, so we're going to have a whole lot of areas where people really just need to be educated as to how to be good stewards and how to be good, you know, citizens on that lakefront.
Can I just say one thing? And this is very nitpicking maybe, but I don't think so. I think we should always have the town of Stockbridge first before you put, when you have partnerships.
Okay?
I think the town of Stockbridge should be always first. SBA it shouldn't be, whoever is first has sort of that.
Okay,
I mean,
of-
along those lines,
that's fine.
like, we can't guarantee in perpetuity that a third party, and that this is not an attack on SBA.
No.
We can't guarantee a third party is going to be involved in efforts. I think the lake management plan should not refer to transient agreements that we don't control. I think it should simply say, this is a statement of the town. SBA is part of the town.
Right.
You know, I think it's just, we basically say, we're going to keep removing, well, doing hand pulling.
Yeah, with assistance from the SBA or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I think the town always has to be first. This is a town project.
I agree with Patrick. I think that we have departments, I mean, that's why we have this committee. We have departments in this committee that are charged with, by law, that are charged with doing these things. We have the Conservation Commission, we have the Water and Sewer, we have the Board of Health, we have, you know, we have all these departments in the town that are required by law to take care of these things.
Right.
And whether or not we have the assistance of other entities, I don't think is necessarily germane. I mean, it's great if we have the assistance of other entities, but we can't regulate them.
That's right.
No, I think it should always be town of Stockbridge should come first and only type of thing.
Yeah. Can we talk about number 6? Or do you want to?
Read it to me, which.
6 is reduction of any residual septic tank nutrient loading. Be it possible, I think that we, once again, might want to simply have reduction of nutrient loading as a goal, because there's a number of things we can do around reduction of nutrient loading. For example, dredging reduces nutrient loading because it takes all the crappy stuff off the bottom. Septic systems, we have a handful of, you know, what do they call those gross things?
Failing.
What?
You're talking about failing sewers?
No, I'm talking about like the cesspools. You know, we've got a whole bunch of bad stuff that,
we
that
have
we
holding
can,
tanks, yeah.
you know,
Oh, what are you saying there, Patrick?
saying that reduction of nutrient loading is the goal, and how, and then if you want to do, for example, enlist sewer expansion or, you know, septic monitoring or education outreach, it's fine. But every way we can reduce nutrient loading, we should be doing it, not just via septic I mean.
Take out residential septic tank.
Yeah, I'm basically saying we want to, the first thing in the sentence should
i.e.
be, we're going to reduce nutrient loading in multiple ways. For example, consider expansion of the sewer, education, monitoring of septic tanks, encouraging monitoring of septic tanks, encouraging replacement of cesspools with septic systems and or sewer. I mean, the list goes on and on. And I think that along those lines that I think that we might also consider including, because like I'll point to it, that another way we can reduce nutrient loading is via harvesting. They pointed that as the most effective way, absent
Absolutely.
sewer expansion, that we can do. And I think that looking for ways to justify leaving the door open, even going from 7.8 to 10 acres, anything that we can do that leaves the door open to making an environmental case for harvesting is in our interest. It's
You know,
not just about nuisance.
Yeah. Another thing that when I was reading about harvesting is that when you have lilies shore to shore, also the heat, they on their own create incredible heat to the water.
Yeah.
And one of the things that, the reason why we have to do the dredging is because we have silt, and the silt comes, yes, it's from stormwater runoff, but it's also from the decomposition of the plants that have
Sally, from the
died.
90% is
Yes.
basically from the plants.
Yeah.
We don't have that much.
I just think
As
so.
much coming off relative
No, I know.
to the. So I agree with you.
But, so I think Patrick's point
Yeah.
that mentioning how the harvesting takes these nutrients out of the water and takes them somewhere else is really important as a goal
And
for
I just feel
harvesting.
like we could be a little more full. We don't have many options in reality in terms of managing this lake. I mean, hopefully we can get a harvesting permit. It's not completely 100% slam dunk, but hopefully we can. We got harvesting, we own harvesters. I think we should just be maybe a little bit more full throated about the case we're making for how harvesting is.
I agree.
And I think that to the point of spreading the milfoil, I think we also need to be honest and say there are maybe some downsides, but we think that the upsides outweigh the downsides, maybe, I don't know, something like that.
Well, I think
Well,
we
this
need
is-
to do it to the extent that we address very serious issues in terms of certainly the channel, obviously, and other key areas of the lake. So it's really going to depend completely on how big of a problem we have and how much of that problem is composed of invasive species. Because there will be a limitation on how much native aquatic plants are going to let us
Oh,
harvest.
I know. But I mean, the whole process of eutrophication, which is the natural progress of lakes and ponds filling in, that is by plant debris falling to the bottom and
Building up.
building up and building up and building up until you don't have any lake or pond, whatever it is, anymore. And without the water flow that you have from a river, which scours the rocks in the bottom of the river, it just keeps going, and then it keeps getting higher. And so it gets piled higher and deeper, as they say.
Yeah, and one thing that I think we have to make them understand that this is all artificial. Actually, had it been supervised correctly, we wouldn't be asking for this.
Right.
Had it been supervised by the state correctly for the way the pipes were put in,
Yes.
and by the town at the time correctly.
Ever gotten a price to fix it?
Yes, if you look at, I don't mean to go off the subject here.
It's okay.
Yeah, you sure?
Yeah.
If you go into the files, we had a price, when we first, a judge or whatever said to the Tennessee, look, if you want to put another pipe in, you've got to pay a certain amount to fix the problem. And the town agreed to $68,000.
Oh, but
The town agreed and signed off.
Right, which was.
But what's
Legally.
the price to
Huge
bury the
mistake.
pipes further down?
Oh, no, you couldn't do that.
Why?
But-
I'm just.
Yeah, you could.
No, not in the discussion you could. It wasn't even mentioned.
No, I know.
I'm asking a different
But-
question.
yeah, but
Not
I'm-
what happened in the past. How much would it cost for us to take the pipes and put them another 10 feet down?
Oh, well, then you got to ask, how would we know that?
So no one's ever asked that question?
It can't be that bad because we have all of these projects around the bowl where people are putting, we just have two in front of us now where people are putting in directional bore sewer pipes. And they go under the ground for something to come in and take those gas pipes. I understand it's a big hairy deal, but to directional bore, when they did the sewer pipe originally, they did not have that technology, but they do have it now.
But now,
And it is something that could be done, I believe.
Well, let me just say one thing.
probably at enormous cost, but it's worth looking into.
Let me just put one caveat is the word. we built a diversion pipe under their pipes.
Yes.
So in other words, that pipe will have to be taken out. I don't know what that means, whatever it is. And in order to lower the gas pipes. So I don't know what that means
No,
in cost.
I get it.
You know, we put a blockage in a crazy way underneath their pipes to just that if they're going to lower it, they have to tell us. You may want to ask them, or somebody in the town may want to ask them what it would cost. You're going to get incredible.
You wouldn't have to lower all you'd have to do is, I mean, I'm not an engineer, but you do the boring like 20 feet away from the current pipes and you reroute the line under where you basically fix it first and then remove the old part second. So.
Yeah, well, we're all for it. Don't get me wrong.
It just might be nice to kind of understand if we're looking
But we
at
still,
a million or two.
have to, as Sally says, we still have to get rid of the silt that's 7 feet high because.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But
Now, how far does the diversion drain go?
How deep?
into the cove, right?
Well, how far past?
It's about,
going
well, it's
under?
about, I'm going to guess the thing runs about 75 feet.
Yeah.
You know, you see, there's two balls. Basically, you'll
Okay.
see where one begins, one ends, basically.
Can we turn it into a fountain or something?
That would be a good aerator.
All right, so let's move on. Here's what I've got on this particular topic. I just changed it to reduction of any residual nutrient loading,
Good.
plain and
Yeah.
simple,
Yeah,
okay?
thank you.
Okay, so I think we're done with this section unless somebody else has any comments. Got Jim, Michael, Lafoni.
Okay.
I just want to add something, whatever. When they paid the 68,000, there was already a study that said it was going to cost $250,000 at that time to fix it. And the town agreed to a $68,000.
Well, we're not there.
No, I'm just saying to you, this is the history.
This was in the 60s, wasn't there something?
No, it was much later.
70s, 80s?
It could have been that agreement might have been in
Was it
that.
after 2020?
I don't think so.
Yeah. No, I don't.
No.
I have the papers at home.
Okay,
I made copies.
We
Yeah.
have the technology, as they say. to
Because
fix
nobody in
it.
this room was in any of those positions. It was like,
So let's ask them. If Patrick,
If you can get them to respond to you, because I've asked.
no, I think
Oh,
we
yeah,
asked
that's the
independently.
problem.
No, I think we asked Foresight or someone.
yeah.
I'm serious, look,
Yeah.
I think it's worth it knowing if we're.
Well,
looking at
what it does is if they would be in agreement, what it does is if we dredge, then the future of the silt not building up.
That's right.
Is the
Saves
key
millions of dollars.
later on in the future.
Well, and then there's still the diversion drain, which I'd love to ask Bob Cortman, is there any other way we can utilize that while it's there? Not to
I don't know,
mention, we
yeah.
can always tap into students. I don't understand why we can't tap into engineering students to come in and take a look. You know, maybe they get some credits for coming out here and they evaluate a problem and they look at various solutions.
And what would we use the diversion drain for?
Pardon me?
What would we use the diversion drain for other than?
I don't know. That's what I wanted to see. If somebody clever like Bob Cortman can come up with some use for that.
Yeah.
Or engineering students, engineering department at UMass, wherever. But I mean, yeah, maybe we can get people to come out here as, a summer project maybe. And they come out and they take a look at this situation and, talk to some professors out.
No, it's always good to ask for group thinking of other people. Absolutely. You get ideas.
Especially when it's free, so.
Let's continue.
Anyway, page 35. I just wanted to point out under
25 to 35?
page 35. Yeah, there weren't any changes in between.
I'm just,
And this is not a change, but I thought it was interesting to highlight this, so people understand. There's been some comments made, but total phosphorus in the lake, we have a water quality goal of how much. And their comment is absent other data, this goal is set equal to the total load. Note that the current load is not considered problematic to lake quality
I
health.
saw that too. I mean, and it seems in contradiction to everything they've said before that point.
Where are we?
You always want to control your total phosphorus. On the other hand,
Page 35.
Yeah, I know.
Well, she's talking about here, the
horrifying.
total.
It's in the chart at the bottom.
So we can always,
Chart at the bottom. It's the center column.
in one of these
The
meetings
estimate?
when they're here, they can explain that.
Yeah, because that seems to kind of throw the whole nutrient load. I mean, why are we monitoring if it's not a problem?
Okay, now down here, let's see, now we go down to page 40. There was just a
What does
minor missing word.
E minus ET equals R.
Oh, come on, Sally.
I know what it means.
I think
I'm
it
just
means-
saying you need.
I have no idea. No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea.
I think I think that this is too, and again, I want to say that I think it's too technical, and I think it needs to be able to be read by the average citizen, and understood.
Well, I think in some ways this is a technical document,
I get it.
you know, and so, and they're following a format supposedly that is commonly used and it facilitates applying for grants, et cetera. So I think there's going to be parts of it that are going to be tough for people to read, just like our bylaws. I mean, hello, when was the last time you read our bylaws, Sally?
Pretty often. I've read an awful lot of them, I can tell you.
Anyway, let me see.
Can you just go back? Because I wasn't following you. What was the issue that you just said?
It's in the.
It's in the first comment in the center column, water
When you
quality.
say, why can't we use it in B?
Here.
Oh, no.
On page 35, you're talking about?
Yeah.
Quality gold, they have a box and
Oh,
this
okay.
didn't come from us, this came from them. Absent other data, this goal is set equal to total.
Ah, okay, I see.
The current
Right.
load is not considered problematic to lake quality health.
Actually, it's heath. Maybe we could make it health.
I think it's supposed to be health.
Lake quality heath, as in ledger or like kind of more the grass on the moors where the werewolves hang out. I don't know.
Up with them. We'll
Right.
find out what that means. And there was just a missing word down here. There's none of their wording was changed where they have proposed dredging on page 40, which is kind of where we left off last time. They were just missing one word, impact on the occupied and potential, blah, blah, blah. And then they go into
What is this?
I feel like I'm at the synagogue where I can't follow.
Bacteria conversation is ridiculous.
Say the
what bacteria? What do you
Torah.
think? Pat?
Like we're quoting what the standards are for like class B standards. It should be bacteria. We're going to control it and keep within what are the considered helpful standards and bounds. Like goes back to the plain English. This
Well, they're up-
sampling 100 milliliters and, you know,
Well, this is a technical document, so
but that's already standardized in the Board of Health regulations and the state regulations. We don't need to restate that there. We're going to follow the regulations and make sure that we are managing for, you know, if E. coli is high, we close the beaches. Isn't that what the rule is basically? Yeah. I mean, you know, it just seems like kind of, it's,
stated the goals up front, and those are based on CMRs.
yeah, all right.
They're just quoting.
Patrick.
Which we do all the time, where we actually state something as per Mass General Law or CMR, such and such. So I don't find that to be terribly unusual.
It's just inconsistent with the first one, Roxanne. You look at total phosphorus, I can understand the note. You look at then on which is the first point. You look at the fourth point, bacteria, and you've got like, you know, half a page of highly technical stuff, which is like sort of, you know,
I don't know what page you're on.
36. So from 35 to 36, on 35, we've got basically, you know, kind of understandable comments. I'm hoping we'll remove the phosphorus one, but then you get to 36 and it's like, wow, you know,
Okay, well,
it's up to you. I don't care. It's not a big
it's
deal.
not up to me. It's up to all of us, but we can have a discussion with GZA about why is it there.
Yeah, and also, you know, if we want the public to be on board with this, assuming that they decide they want to read this document, which they may or may not want to do, they should be able to understand it. And they should not have to go to an index to say, oh, let's see, this means this. Okay, then go back here, because they're not going to do that.
Well, I mean, the other approach to that, if GZA is telling us this is a format that's typically used, there's a whole
Yeah, no, I get it.
application that assists you going through this. On the other hand, there's nothing to keep us from doing a summarization.
I was just going to suggest,
And that's
that.
what gets published for public consumption, for the people who are not into the details. But we know we have some people, like Charlie Kenny, who will read this in detail and understand it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay,
yeah,
good idea. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest.
Summarization of here are the high points. Here are our basic goals. Here's what we were doing. Here's what we plan on doing.
Perfect. Excellent.
All right, let's see. We were down here, 40, one word, that was no biggie.
Where are we?
Then they have, I'm down to
38.
page 43. Because what they've done is they've inserted some of the dredging information in here, and they gave a description of the dredging because GZA in Springfield is working on the dredging, so they had this stuff. Then we come down to various pieces that we have to fill in. So de-icing strategy plan, I filled in. I talked to Hugh.
Good.
And I wrote, let's see, the town of Stockbridge is installing improved sand and salt spreader calibration equipment in 2022 on its fleet to allow for accurate calibration and tracking, capability to control and analyze salt volumes applied. STH in there. The goal is to reduce the level of chlorides applied while still ensuring safe roads, particularly in watershed areas of concern, i.e. Mackinac Road, Mackinac Heights area, Hawthorne Road, and the causeway on the northeast end of the lake, for example. So I did that. If anybody wants to change it, feel free or correct it. But that's what I got in terms of the de-icing strategy plan. Now, Mike Buffoni, I could not find an email from you, and I know you said you sent me something. I've searched, and then I called you a couple times, and then you had the water main break yesterday, so I figured I wasn't gonna keep bugging you.
Yeah, I sent it to you and Donnie, just so Donnie could review it and put in some comments or change it around. I think I sent 3 different emails.
Okay.
I can re-forward them to you.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. I know that my town email is not working and I can't access it at all, but you have my private email and I don't know why I can't find it. Now, there's,
That very well could be the town one is probably the one I type R and Roxanne comes up and I don't look at which one I'm sending it to, so that could be.
Have you tried just the web version? Because the web version is just you put in your username and password.
Patrick, it doesn't work. They took me out, they put me back in. We've tried it with the new password, the 1,000 ways, doesn't work. Still doesn't work. This came up like a week or so ago and it still doesn't work. So, but yes, use my private one, Mike. I
Okay,
think,
will do. I can re-forward those today.
yeah, send it to my private one and then I'll plug stuff in here. So that would be applicable to, now, I don't know if stormwater improvement plan is in part of inflow and infiltration. Can we like,
Stormwater would be highway department.
So, okay,
Okay.
so here's a couple things you can
MVP.
specifically add for stormwater. We redesigned the beach parking lot to improve stormwater, flow into the lake. We have a request into the state of Massachusetts to work on the parking lot and the stormwater drainage at the boat ramp. Including keeping the rocks and the sediment from flowing directly in the bowl. There's a whole kind of discussion that is going on there. We also have move stormwater management to conservation in an attempt to improve the environmental oversight of stormwater permitting. So there's 3 we can just put in, that these are steps we're either working on or already taken. Around inflow and infiltration, I think you can say that the town,
well, that is up to water and sewer department.
well, we've already done some things. I just was going to list what we've done.
I know, but,
Stormwater is also under conservation.
well, he just said that.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm aware of the parking lot at the beach. I'm aware of the state boat ramp request. The stormwater permitting now is under conservation, been shifted to conservation.
There are two sections of stormwater permitting. There's the 200-foot buffer, which we regulate. And then there's also, if you're doing a project that is disturbing over 10,000 square feet, then you're required to file the stormwater permit.
Okay,
An application, and then we can regulate how that happens and
Okay.
plantings and stuff to keep it from running into the lake.
okay. Now, also, what about culverts that might impact the lake and the watershed?
Yeah, I think that we've great one. Thank you. We have now evaluated every known culvert in Stockbridge with the Housatonic Valley Authority, and we are now doing floodplain sizing of those culverts based on expected climate change
Okay.
rainfall.
So can you, Patrick, can you write up something that goes under stormwater improvement plan for me?
Yeah, sure.
I only have so many hours in the week that I can.
And you can only remember so much. Right.
Because I got a ton of free time. Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah,
I'm
you're not
happy.
doing anything.
Okay, now and I'm not stepping on either water or sewer's toes. I will just point out that inflow and infiltration is not just a plan. We've taken actual steps.
I understand that. I was,
All right,
I
and you
understand it.
Yeah, we're in phase
On the other hand,
3 of it.
John was going to give me some kind of a write-up in terms of a general summarization of where we're
I
at.
can give you that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's probably what, I think, Mike, that's probably part of what you sent me, correct?
Yeah, yeah, somewhat. And John can probably get with Tony and get a good
Sewer
write-up on
expansion.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
we I mean, but to be fair to both the voters and well, to all stakeholders, I believe, and Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that's the position of town that we must complete inflow and infiltration repairs because before we're even going to consider expansion. And so I don't know what would go under sewer expansion, but there is currently no sewer expansion plan. We're focused on inflow and infiltration.
correct.
Correct.
However,
I think the inflow and infiltration plan and sewer expansion can go in one. Because
Yeah.
like what we've talked about and what we said at the last meeting, water and sewer meeting, that basically, I is the priority, fixing and repairing and updating our current
Right.
aging system, collection system. Once we gain some capacity back, then sewer expansion can certainly, be on the table,
okay. Got it. Yeah, it's a prerequisite. I is a prerequisite to
Yeah, for
be
sure.
able to do anything.
Only plan making, yes.
Okay. Okay, got that. All righty. Then he's got, let's see, I think we're close to the end. Then there's this enormous, one of my concerns about all of this is at the very beginning of this, in terms of the organization, it talks about a lot of historical data. So it goes through all the historical, first, it goes through all the historical stuff that's happened and all the reports, and it references all those reports. And I'm a little concerned that there doesn't seem to be a lot of focus, it comes a lot later, what you're actually doing right now. And so I kind of want to have a conversation with them about that and see what they say.
When you say them, do you mean GZA?
GZA.
But I'm going to go back a little bit to what Sally brought up about using our resources, the town resources of these two gentlemen. And one of the reasons that I've worked with GZA, I know that this is a different department than the other GZA.
We have a contract with GZA.
Yes, we had a contract with GZA also originally. We
We
had,
have a contract for this specific.
no. So let me just finish this. What I'm trying to get to is when you do a change, let's say they give us what they have a complete, and then we give it to our town consultants and they say, no, it should be done. I'm concerned of what that cost that might be greater when GZA has to change it after the fact than before the fact. And I personally think that it's a good idea to sort of give them this earlier on than later on.
Okay.
This, and give us your concerns also, not just GZA giving it to you, that no, this is fine, but somebody in the know or has done this saying, Roxanne has a good point. We feel this should come first. And then you can discuss it with GZA and say, you know what? The people in DEP, former DP who are now feel that this is the way to go in order to get these projects done. But I think earlier rather than later.
So Roxanne has got some changes she's going to put in after this meeting, or maybe you already have it at the time.
Yeah, I've been doing it as we.
Got a couple of other ones that you're looking to collect. Nothing's going to cost us anything. Hold on. And why don't we suggest that, because this is Concom's consultant, once those changes are in,
Okay.
save it as a PDF,
Yeah, I
get it to Sally. And Sally, why don't you ask David and Mark to review it?
I'd have to get permission from the rest of the commission, but I mean, this is just my thought. But I think once we get this into a state where we think we're pretty good, that we've addressed the things that we're worried about and they've changed around some things that we've asked them to change around, then I think it would be prudent to have David and Mark review it and just say.
That's why we hired them.
This is never going to fly.
You got a meeting Tuesday. Can you get permission Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think earlier on is, to go on the right path earlier on, it's going to be less expensive for us with GZA than if all of a sudden we
Yeah.
put on top of them, hey, we're not in agreement with the format of this. We're agreeing with what you wrote, but not in the format.
Right, right. Although apparently it's a commonly used format.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I mean, it could be perfect.
Used to this.
Yeah, it could be, they may all agree that this is perfect.
But I think that, well, if we're going to ask them for advice, the expertise they're bringing to the table for us is specifically around not only their
Project.
general knowledge, but it's also around project approval. This is a very practical use of their expertise, which is how do we want a couple more acres of harvesting, whatever it is, how do we get that approved? And how do we get dredging approved?
Yeah.
That is the, you know.
No, we absolutely,
We're not just looking for blah, blah, blah. How do we improve?
well, that's the point of where it goes.
Subject to the predicate of a sentence. We're looking for strategic advice around permitting.
Yeah, right. And I would always put dredging first. Don't put harvesting first, because you put harvesting first in your conversations a lot.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because they sometimes don't want two things. And if we keep, whatever we put first sounds like what we want to do.
Stick to our priority.
Yes, exactly.
It's the number one.
Even verbally, I think we should. Yeah,
I think in sequential order in terms of what we do next. The next thing we're going to do is harvest next week.
yeah. No, I understand.
No, I
We're-
understand the point you're making,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so now I haven't gotten down into here and I have not plugged in the costs, which is another section on page
Where are we?
7.
What page?
7.
47.
No, we're not done.
So I'm gonna have to just, find the time to plug all this stuff in.
Want to try to, I mean, is it too onerous for people to meet weekly just until we get through the rest of this? And then go back to the bi-monthly? I mean, I think
Or just
that,
one more meeting. We don't even have to do.
Have an
weekly.
extra meeting. I don't have a problem with it. It just depends on what.
can everyone do next Friday? How about we just try to,
Yeah.
and then I think if, in the likelihood that David and Mark can't give us feedback in 3 days, I think we had one more lake management meeting on top of that, get the finals from GZA, and that kind of keeps us on the schedule that you set a month ago, which was trying to finish this by, sometime around the second week in September.
How does everybody feel about next Friday?
I
Let me
think,
look at my calendar.
yeah.
When it gets into September, my life is, I'm judging or holding a trial every single weekend all through September. So
trial?
August
Where
is
are you
better
going?
for me. Dogs.
Oh.
Well, I mean, next week is the 26th of August.
Time.
I can't do it.
You can't do next week?
No, I've been trying to get away to see my family for.
Oh, okay, that's fine, all right.
Yeah. No
Finally
big deal.
I'm able to get away, finally. So unfortunately, I'm going to be gone.
It's like, also, is that Labor Day weekend? Yeah, never mind that.
Yeah. and
Well, it's 8:30 in the morning, but we can't. Roxanne trumps whatever the reason is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. I think if we move it, then let's not try to rush it then. Maybe if we have a goal of trying to tie this up by October 30th.
Well, we only need one more meeting for this. So even if we do it the Friday that's scheduled, let's just continue.
We're first and third Fridays of every month. So the next meeting after this is normally scheduled for September 2nd. And then it's September 16th.
When is
When is Labor Day?
Labor Day?
That's September
Fifth.
2nd, I
I
think.
don't know, when's the actual holiday though?
5th. Right, yeah.
So September
First
2nd
Monday.
is the weekend is the day before the weekend of,
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind.
the other one is the.
Still a work day. Tom,
I'm good for the 16th
you guys getting paid by us. You gotta be there.
I know.
in the
Big
morning.
bucks.
Yeah, because the morning is fine, because then everything I have to do is later in the afternoon.
So-
But they're-
So we just continue on the regular schedule?
Okay,
Yeah,
Okay.
So that's just continue on the regular schedule. is what you're
Okay,
saying.
and I'll just try to plug through as much of this as I can and have some conversations to clarify a few things. I don't think we're already over an hour. I don't think we need to belabor any other conversation. We did touch on the harvesting and not leaving options out, so, you know.
I just want
That's
to
fine.
talk about one thing that I just mentioned to Sally about the continuation of the hand pulling of the, just as an educational thing, which I didn't know. And I called Patrick up and I said, do you know anything about this hand pulling? And he didn't know.
The watershed
So,
stuff.
yeah, could you just give us a quick
Yeah.
synopsis of,
I haven't heard anything except that it's ongoing.
I thought it had stopped when they did the top, but then all of a sudden no, I didn't know.
Still doing it.
They're still doing it.
No, I think I mentioned in the last meeting.
Oh, well, I don't pay
They
attention.
did it. I'm still waiting for a report. I haven't seen a real report. However, they did come back because they spotted some more. They went
That's what they
through
said to
the
me.
initial thing, and they were
Right.
approved by town administrator to continue. So they are back now, apparently.
Yeah.
According to you, and they're pulling. So, and that'll continue. That monitoring and pulling, I think, will continue. We can't
Yes,
ignore it.
one of the guys there, I have his name, said that someone called to identified that plant lower south in the southern part of the outlet. And that's when all of a sudden they were called back in. So I didn't know if you knew any more about it or
It was
anything.
called in by the town administrator.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I mean, right, but someone advised the town administrator or somebody.
Probably investigate the formal process and approvability of hand pulling of the invasives.
Hand pulling, the DEP manual says generally hand pulling is allowed.
Yeah.
And I'd let them come to us and criticize it rather than go ask a
Okay.
question we are only going to lose.
All right.
Yeah.
Cannot win, we'll only lose.
And not only that, it's a good project. We got to do it.
I know,
I
but
don't
I'm
think-
saying like,
To be put on hold, let's say they say, I agree with Patrick.
I
Okay.
don't think let's ask for forgiveness, not seek permission.
But we don't even have to do that. If you're saying hand pulling is part, then
It's already
Yeah.
basically says that in most instances it's allowed, so let's go with that. And then if they want to point out an instance where it's not allowed, let them tell us.
Well, while we're on this, okay, I do have a flyer. This is just a draft flyer. And this is so that people can actually help us identify. One thing I'm concerned about is I did hear about somebody who went and they were pulling the water chestnuts because they saw them. I don't think private citizens should be taking any action. Because not only do you have to pull them and get the rhizomes, you have to know what you're doing. You also have to dispose of those properly. You cannot dispose of them near any kind of water. There are certain circumstances, and we have contracted with Aquatic Roots that they're doing the removal as well. So they're properly disposing of this stuff. We're not just dumping it somewhere. But anyway, so I got this together. You can pass this around.
And you can't pull the Eurasian milfoil and leave it floating on the water.
Right.
Got to get it off.
Yeah, we don't want people
Yeah.
thinking they know what they're doing and
Right,
thinking that they're helping. We understand the good intentions, but, so anyway, so I put this together and we can modify this, but you can help. If you think you see invasive water chestnut in the lake, please let us know by marking on the flip side of this flyer, which I got the DCR map. On the opposite side, the approximate location on the map with an X. If you think you've spotted it in multiple locations, simply mark with additional X's. Place this handout in the Dropbox, which we will put up, provided at the zebra mussel station. This can obviously also go to beach, it can go to numerous places. And then there's identification information following
Roxanne.
that.
Can we just add one thing at the bottom that says, do not pick yourself?
I know, and I
Giant letters,
have one
as big as you
version
can help.
where I did that, and I've got some mistakes in here, because,
I know, just like,
yeah.
yeah.
also the
Please don't
irony
attempt
of
to
this
do-
map is that where they're finding it is not on this map.
I know, and this is as far down, and I noticed that I had to remove a legend from this
I
corner
understand.
just so the channel
But
would
what
show
I'm
it all.
saying is, this is just for identification, so maybe this map should just be smaller because this only goes halfway down the outlet and it's being found in the outlet.
All right. well,
If you want, I can help.
Well,
And the other thing is,
Send that W in design, we can.
one last
you told me
thing,
you didn't have that much time, Patrick. I would prefer it if you do the other verbiage for me.
All right, sure, I'd be happy. This kind of stuff I love doing. But
This won't take that long.
one other thing is they told me, when I was talking to them, that they burn these things.
Yes.
You know, this is like that you
microwave
can't
them.
just, what?
Microwave them in their soup sometimes.
Dry them.
Kidding, sorry. Yes.
I'm sure they're edible.
No,
I'm
but
a
they have to
cook. I
be
take
properly
offense to
disposed
that.
of. Because their seeds remain viable for like an enormous amount of time, 12 years, I think.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
So I think the map just should reflect the
Okay,
outlet.
well, we
Yeah.
can. we
No,
can
no,
make
no, just letting you know,
improvements on that.
yeah.
But anyway.
Thank you,
and
though.
Yep. So,
All right, should we end?
Doing anything else, because I didn't know if you wanted, on stakeholder, I was going to bring up, because both Concom and Select Board have an interest in this, whether we want to talk about the Josh in this, or just not.
No.
I don't know how that concerns us necessarily. Anyway, why don't we just go through the list? Jim Willis, do you have any updates to share?
We are going through this.
Is he gone?
Yeah,
He might have already left us. Okay. And Mike Buffoni might have already left us.
no, he's there.
Oh, I'm still here. We'll be going out, next week to do sampling, the August sampling for the lake.
Okay. Okay, John, sewer and water?
Nothing else.
Okay. But you'll get me something on I&I?
I will do that, yeah.
Michael Nathan?
No, I don't really.
But just a quick question, how often, and I should know this, but I don't, you're going out once, every Tuesday on the Harvester?
I go once a week.
Yep, and.
Which is plenty for
And
the
the rest of the lake, town's doing it.
The town's, yeah, well, I'm part of the town.
No, I meant the town employees.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm technically.
Other town employees.
Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted-
Town employees that are paid a fair wage rather than.
The
your
outlet
wage.
gets enough negative, feeling, we're part of the town, right?
Nobody feels negatively about the outlet. You say
No,
that. No, nobody feels.
Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
We love the outlet.
No, so do I.
Yeah.
And
All right.
Sally, you're not on this list and I apologize. I just copied and did a quickie, but you will be on there next time.
I've
so-
been officially appointed.
We did that last Thursday, didn't we?
I think they just did it in the last meeting.
Yeah, we
Just
did.
curious.
So do you have anything to
It
report?
was a 2-hour meeting, Sally, so it was
It was,
hard to catch because it was brief, but yeah, you're appointed.
it was,
Sally, did you have anything you wanted to
I don't think so.
discuss? Okay. Patrick?
nope, I'm good.
All right, I move that we,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome. Thank you, guys.
So we are meeting again on the 2nd.
Correct. Regular meeting time.
Okay.
Sally, thank you. Thank everybody
Thank you,
here.
Sally.